Happy Easter, everyone. On May 9th, 1991, Mike and Kathy Clary woke up and she prayed, "Good morning, Lord. What a beautiful day you created for us to celebrate your ascension into heaven." But soon, something was wrong in creation. Their 11-year-old daughter, Katie, left for her paper route and did not come home. They feared the worst, they prayed, they went out looking, they called 911, and 2 hours later, the police arrived saying that they found Katie's body. It was the darkest day of their lives. They felt abandoned by God. Mike thought, could it be that all we believed to be true in our faith was just a terrible hoax? No, it couldn't be true, because if it were our life, Katie's life would then have been meaningless. But why did God allow this? The next day, Kathy wrote in her journal, "Lord, only you can help me through this day. Katie's death is more than I can bear unless I truly believe you love her and us more than I can fathom. Maybe in your greater mercy you called Katie home now. Lord, it is only in my faith in you and in the resurrection that I can believe and begin to hope to be reunited with Katie in heaven." That same day, when their priest was with them, Katie's younger brother asked the priest, "Father, when is the resurrection?" And the father, Mike, the biological father, he was amazed that his 5-year-old son, he didn't doubt Jesus. He just wanted to know when he would be with his sister again. So our theme today is that Jesus wants to resurrect everything that is good. He wants to resurrect our relationship with God the Father, with each other, and even our bodies, whether it's after we die or even now. So this is who Jesus is. This is who God is. God is our Father. He loves us so much. But in every human heart, there is doubt. There's doubt even in my heart. God is so good, but is he that good? Does he love us that much? Every disciple of Jesus doubted him, except for one, and we'll come back to her later. In the gospel last night for the vigil, the women go to Jesus' tomb and they miraculously encounter an angel who says, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has been raised from the dead." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy. Now they have that mixture of emotions. They're afraid, but they're also really happy. And that mixture of emotions shows that they only have a partial understanding of the resurrection. 3 years ago, we covered the main points to explain that the resurrection is a real historical event. Right now, let's just review 3 of them. One argument for the resurrection is that it's an explanation for the rapid growth of Christianity as a world religion. So Jesus only preached 3 years, very short, and then he was executed. Now that's why all of his disciples left him. But in 300 years, Christianity took over the whole Roman Empire. That's really quick. Now compare that to other world religions and their leaders. So Buddha and Confucius, they had long lives speaking and teaching. And when they died, they were not rejected. They were celebrated. And then Muhammad, he had a wealthy wife and military victories to help spread his religion. So in those cases, we have 3 causes that helped spread their religions quickly. We had a long career, financial resources, and success in battle. Jesus didn't have any of these. So we need an adequate explanation to explain the effect. Christianity grows so quickly. How? So a lot of people posit the resurrection is the cause for such incredible growth. People accept Jesus' teaching so quickly, and then they pass it on so quickly. Second, St. Matthew's gospel is the only one to say that there are guards at Jesus' tomb. Now, skeptics say that's made up. That's part of the resurrection all being made up. But if you think about it, we have reason to believe that it's true. So think about how the debate in the first century would have happened between the Christians and the Jewish leaders. So the Christians said, Jesus is risen. And the Jewish leaders would say, you guys stole his body. And then the Christians would say, no, the guards of the tomb, they would have stopped us. And the Jewish leaders said, no, the guards fell asleep. Now, if the guards weren't there, the exchange would have gone like this. The Christians say, Jesus is risen. They say, you guys stole his body. And then the Christians would say, no, the guards at the tomb would have prevented us from stealing the body. And then they would have said, guards, what guards? There were no guards. Now, the fact that they never said that, it just lends credence to the fact or to the possibility that the guards really were there. And third, everyone finds it fascinating that the Gospels record Jesus first appeared to women after he's risen. Because at that time, women couldn't provide legal testimony. So if you're making up a story about the resurrection, why would you weaken your case by saying Jesus appeared to women? The only reason to write it down is that it's true. Jesus' resurrection is a real historical event, and he still does miracles today. I myself have never seen a physical miracle, but there are a number of books that write about it in ways that are very credible. Dr. Bob Schutz, in his book called Be Healed, he writes about his own skepticism, but he saw someone who's legally blind instantaneously cured, someone with fibromyalgia instantaneously cured, and once he was holding a woman's leg in his hands, praying over it, and the leg grew 8 inches right away. But he said the key to that incredible recovery was she had to forgive the man who hit her in a car. The key was the forgiveness. This brings us to an important point. God always wants to resurrect the most important things. Now think about this image we've used a few times before. There's a father who never loved his children, always treated them badly. And so they grew up resenting him. They don't want anything to do with him. But then he gets terminal cancer. What would be the greater healing? Healing the cancer or healing his relationship with his kids? So this is what God the Father wants most of all. Our relationship with him healed. Last night, we had 14 people. They had their relationship with God healed through the gift of baptism. And that's greater than healing our bodies. That is what Jesus wants. After the women leave the tomb, they meet Jesus and he says to them, greetings. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me. He calls them brothers even though they just betrayed him. Because he loves them still and he wants to restore his friendship with them. Do we have hope that God the Father will restore our relationship with him? Do we have hope he will restore our relationship with each other? The joke goes that an elderly farmer and his wife were in a church service when suddenly a devil appeared out of nowhere, sending people screaming out of the church, everyone except the farmer who sat there calmly. And the devil said to him, "Don't you know who I am?" The farmer said, "Yep." "Aren't you afraid?" "Nope." "Why not?" "Because I've been married to your sister for 40 years. So unless you are married to Satan or his sister, the healing of relationships is possible. A man named Mitch once went with his wife to a Catholic marriage workshop. He did not think it would be helpful. In one exercise on forgiveness, he thought his wife would say something generic and he'd just say, "That's okay." But instead, she sat there for a long time in silence, and then she said, "Please forgive me for being bitter." He had no idea what she was talking about, but years before when they were arguing, he threatened to leave, and that hurt her so much. So he forgave her bitterness, and then more importantly, he asked her forgiveness for causing her so much pain. And I have seen that kind of miracle hundreds of times. What is necessary for these miracles to allow Jesus to do them is for us to say, Jesus, I trust in you. And to say, Jesus, today, I believe in you. I believe in you more than before. We want to ask Jesus, please heal my relationship with God the Father and with my closest friends and my family. Recently, I was talking to a man. He was really close to leaving the church, the Catholic Church. He was so fed up with the hypocrisy of Catholics. And I said, you've got to press in. You've got to push through. Don't leave. And I was really sad for him that he's going through so much pain. He's going through a spiritual crucifixion. But I was also really happy for him because I've been through exactly what he's been through. A lot of us have been through that. If you make a promise to Jesus, I promise you I will never leave you or the church. The resurrection is so good. It's all worth it. Years after Katie's death, Mike and Kathy Clary, they have faith. They know for certain that Katie is with Jesus, but they will have to wait until they see her again. The only disciple who never doubted that Jesus would rise is his mother, Mary, our mother, Mary. Was she the first person to see Jesus after he rose? Now the Gospels say it's Mary Magdalene, St. Mary Magdalene. So maybe the only disciple who never doubted, maybe even she had to wait. We don't know. All we know is that she knew Jesus would rise again. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. Happy Easter, everyone.